Good morning. Let us discuss today's current affairs in some important national newspapers, specifically Hindu current affairs. One important term which is in news today is Oorcha Teli. OORCHATHELI. OORCHATHELI. Oorcha Teli. It is a traditional cattle race. It is a traditional cattle race in battlefield. Oorcha Teli is a traditional cattle race in a battlefield. It is a Kerala tradition. It is a Kerala tradition. Yesterday, our Prime Minister Modi went to East Asia Summit and Asean Summit. So 31st Summit of Asean, ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and East Asia Summit, EAS, 12th Summit. Both were held in Philippines, capital Manila. It was held in Manila. So in this we have a new group had a first of its kind meeting called Quad meeting or quadrilateral meeting. Quad meeting or quadrilateral meeting. This time for prelims, this quad, QUAD or quadrilateral is very important. India, Japan, America and Australia. India, Japan, America and Australia forms 4 countries in Quad group. This Quad group is formed to have common interests, to work on common interests in Indo-Pacific region. Quad group is formed to work on common interests in Indo-Pacific region. It first discussed on navigation rights. Quad group first discussed on navigation rights. The first major move is the formation of quadrilateral security dialogue. The first major move is the formation of quadrilateral security dialogue. This quadrilateral security dialogue is meant to effectively tackle the terror or the menace of terrorism, the threat of terrorism. That Quad security dialogue is meant to effectively tackling the threat of terrorism and other security challenges. Particularly, quadrilateral talks are meant to work for convergence in common interests in the Indo-Pacific region. Common interests in the Indo-Pacific region. This might be a prelims question. Quad group is formed basically to work on common interests in the Indo-Pacific region. The Indian side highlighted that India's Act East policy. In 2014, India's Look East policy has been renamed as India's Act East policy. Act East policy means proactive engagement with East Asian countries. India's Act East policy is very crucial for India. India's Act East policy is very crucial for India because to develop its northeastern region, to develop its strategic friendship with Asian countries, and to contain China, which is trying to influence more in the eastern region and India's neighborhood, and more importantly, to prioritize its economic interests, diversify its markets, energy security, maritime security, and all domains. India's Act East policy is very important. This Act East, earlier it is called Look East policy, which was started in 1992. The entire idea of Look East policy is started in 1992. This Look East policy have become renamed as Act East policy in 2014. Generally, many students will get confused. What is Look East policy and what is Act East policy? Act East policy is a rechristened name for Look East policy. But Act East policy means having more proactive role in having a very good foreign policy in the eastern region of eastern countries. This is very important. And Asean, as you all know, was formed in the year 1967. Association of Southeast Asian Nations is formed in the year 1967. At present, there are 10 member countries in Asean. At present, there are 10 member countries in ASEAN. Generally in UPSC, they'll ask membership in regional groups. Membership in regional groups. India is a member in East Asia Summit. India is a member in East Asia Summit, EAS. India is not a member in ASEAN. India is a member in East Asia Summit, but India is not a member in ASEAN. India every year have summit level partnership with ASEAN. India every year, it will conduct summit level partnership with ASEAN. This is very important bit. India had a summit level partnership. If any country have a summit level partnership with ASEAN, it means that it is having a very big deal with the entire group. India's Act East policy, major aim is to develop its northeastern region. This is Quad group, which is very, very important for the exam. Next is new educational policy, headed by Kasturi Rangan Committee with 8 members. India is trying to initiate a new education policy headed by Kasturi Rangan Committee with 8 members. And in today's newspaper, we have a term called Sahariyas, Sahariyas. In today's newspaper, you have a term called Sahariyas, Sahariyas. It is a tribal community in Baran. It is a tribal community in Baran. Baran is in Rajasthan. Sahariyas is a tribal community in Baran. Baran is in Rajasthan. And Durva community, D-U-R-W-A. Durva community is also a very famous community which is in news recently, located in Bastar. Bastar region. Bastar is in Madhya Pradesh. Bastar in India. Durva community, D-U-R-W-A. Bastar, Madhya Pradesh, India. So these things is very important today. Durva community, Sahariyas, these 2 things are in use. Urchateli, O-O-R-C-H-A-T-H-E-L-I. Urchateli also very important in news today. And apart from that, you have an article, very good article on Abba must go, A-B-B-A. Abba must go. This article, Adhar based biometric authentication. ABBA means Adhar based biometric authentication. Here, as you all know, our government is linking everything with Adhar. Adhar with biometrics. Recently, as we all know, 11 years old girl died with starvation. And the official reason for this death is malaria. But even the girl's mother is saying it is not out of malaria but because of starvation. It might be a case. And this starvation death is being followed by many other deaths, similar deaths like starvation. The thing is, when the country is still nascent in ICT technology, when the country is still nascent in ICT utilization, it is not that easy to convert everything into ICT, and particularly biometrics. And disabled people, those who does not have hands, cannot actually go for biometrics all the time. Here, the other suggested many things. When more poor people, old age people, disabled people exist in any social welfare scheme, better to use alternative mechanisms for authentication rather than biometrics and Aadhaar based collecting the data. Because when you use smart cards and other alternatives, it is very easy for the common man to get the things done. Otherwise, it will be a difficult task to gain the things. And recently, as we all know, even the Telangana Chief Minister KCR is speaking about direct benefit transfer. In many schemes and programs, direct benefit transfer might be a solution rather than going for some other type of authentication, documentation, all those things. Over-regulation and over-emphasis on rules might boomerang, might adversely affect the people all the time. And when there is a genuine demand, documentation should be the secondary thing. Public need is the priority. Public need should be the priority. And here in this article, biometrics, as you all know, fingerprints, iris test, and facial identity. The identity of the person can be seen, but not the personal data. If you store it, right to privacy issue will also come. The privacy of the person will also come into picture. So all these things is rather than formalities and procedures, better to concentrate on public welfare with viable alternatives. This is the gist of the article. Next article is justice in tumult. In this article, Justice Deepak Mishra. The single quote in the article is, "No one shall be a judge of his own cause." No person should take a lead when his own interest is involved. When there is allegations on the CJ of India, he himself deciding the roster is not correct. Here, there is a case called Prasad Educational Trust case. In this case, allegations are there on Orissa High Court judge and also involvement of other judges. In this case, CJI wanted to make a roster on that, and he says his authority is final in deciding who should decide the case and which of what is the composition of the particular bench, constitutional bench. But again, the article was quite critical that when CJ's allegations are, when there are allegations on CJ, when CJ himself, it seems that there are some allegations on him, he cannot sit and decide his own case. No one should be a judge of his own cause. This is an important current affairs that is in the recent thing. Apart from that, you have artificial intelligence battlefield. Very good article on artificial intelligence. This article starts with a Sudarshan Chakra. Sri Krishna uses Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra is a weapon. Once we start using it, it will go throughout the world and kill all the enemies, destroy all the enemies, and will come back to the original user. The article is related to weaponization and use of artificial intelligence in weapons. Autonomous weapons. Autonomous weapons means when you leave the weapon, when you let loose the weapon, it may create or destroy many things in the world. So whether we have to allow these type of weapons in the battlefields or not is the question. Today, November 13th, in United Nations, a summit is being held at Geneva. UN conference at Geneva today is going to discuss about artificial intelligence and its limitations in military technology. So here one thing, when something is destructive, we should be very precarious in allowing it to the use. When something is destructive, if it is a positive thing, we can allow. If it is a negative thing, better to follow reticence. Better to follow reticence rather than allowing it without any conditions. Here one thing, the role of UN vote in controlling the states. In the real politic, when each and every country is trying to, enhance its capability, how far international norms and regulations can be used to restrict the country? It's a big question. Here the author gave 3 suggestions. Suggestion number 1, international humanitarian law. Suggestion number 1 is international humanitarian law. Suggestion number 2 is national regulation. Suggestion number 2 is national regulation. Suggestion number 3 is international industrial self-regulation. Suggestion number 3 is industrial self-regulation. 1 is humanitarian law, 2nd is national regulation, 3rd is industrial self-regulation. But the thing is, ultimately when sovereign state system, when every country is independent by its own, when every country is independent of its own, it is very difficult to contain the countries. UN, though it's an international body, it is a very weak body in regulating the countries. And last but not the least, very important current affair is, there is an artificial intelligence robo called Sophia. SOFIA. There is an artificial intelligence robo called Sophia. This Sophia got citizenship in Saudi Arabia. It's a robo. It got citizenship in Saudi Arabia. Sophia, everyone should follow this. Sophia is an important current affair. You should read about Sophia. Sophia is the first artificial intelligence robo which got citizenship in Saudi Arabia. Prelims question might be, what is Sophia, or what is the first artificial intelligence robo that got status of citizenship in Saudi, something else, SOFIA. And this artificial intelligence robo also told, if mankind is good towards robos, it will be good. If the mankind are bad, the same thing will be retaliated. So robo coming out and speaking good things is good. You just check it out about Sophia, very important question. And the next important article is on GST. GST, simple thing, we all know this is the second time where GST slabs were changed. Out of 250 items which have highest GST till yesterday, out of 250 items which have highest GST, today it was cut down to 50 items. Now GST in the highest states were reduced from 250 to 50 items. Very good. And GST was lowered on around 200 products. GST was lowered on around 200 products. It will enhance better tax compliance and transparency in taxation. Lowering the GST levels will enhance better tax compliance. Means the people will readily pay the tax if the tax is lowered. It's a good move, but there is a criticism for this move. There is a criticism. The criticism is, in view of Gujarat elections, the government have reduced this higher tax slabs. This is a criticism. Anyhow, it's a good move. The last and very important article in today's newspaper is, again indirectly the article is based on quadrilateral meeting. The article is based on quadrilateral meeting to counter China's BRI initiative. BRI means Belt and Road Initiative. As we all know, China have started Belt and Road Initiative to reconnect to the world and to have a better connection, and also maritime Silk Road connection. India has to counter this. For that reason, India started many mechanisms earlier. One is Project Mausam. India officially launched Project Mausam. Ministry of Culture is the nodal ministry for that. Ministry of Culture is the nodal ministry of Project Mausam. Project Mausam means India is trying to reconnect its ties with its friends, particularly Indian Ocean friends, neighborhood friends. To counter China's BRI, India informally, the target is to counter China's BRI and China's string of pearls policy, which is trying to occupy encircle India. India have started its Project Mausam. Not only that, 2 years back, our Prime Minister Modi announced SAGAR, SAGAR, security and growth for all in the region. SAGAR means security and growth for all in the region. That SAGAR is in the initial stage. Apart from that, we have Malabar joint exercises. Traditionally, India and US used to participate. Now, Japan also got involved into Malabar joint naval exercises. So right now, India's grouping with Japan, Australia and US in quadrilateral meeting. India's grouping with Japan, Australia and US in quadrilateral meeting might be India's counter to BRI. Might be India's counter to BRI started by China. But at the end, the other is cautioning us, America is playing a dual policy, double standard policy. On the one side, America is agreeing with China regarding Silk Road connectivity. On the other side, America is participating in quadrilateral meeting. India should not completely trust America in many initiatives, and quadrilateral meeting, as you all know, it is for common interest in the Indo-Pacific region. So these are the important current affairs today. Thank you.